everyone. Welcome back to Commentator's Corner. And episode 17 brings a new, fresh, hot young talent for the 2023 season. And it is, of course, my good friend who is currently residing in Sweden at the moment, originally from the Netherlands. Very warm welcome, Mr. Daan Pepels. How are you doing, buddy? You all right?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm doing great here in Sweden. I have to say, it's the climate's a bit drier than it was back in the Netherlands, especially in the summer. So it's very hot right now. But yeah, for the rest, Sweden has been kind to me.
That's good to hear. Well, if you didn't already see some breaking news from him and also the logo that is emblazoned on the left chest plate of his polo shirt, he's now become the face and the voice of the NXT Gen Cup run by Frederick Lestrup, which has the fully electrically charged minis that will be racing not just in Scandinavia, but also in Germany a few rounds this year. So first of all, Dan, congratulations, mate. How did it all come about?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, of course, we started or I started off my career with doing sim racing, which is the new formula to try and get into real racing for the racing drivers.
Yeah.
Not so much for commentators, though. I don't think you've seen it a lot in like the last years where a commentator from sim racing goes into real life racing. It's usually a lot like journalism and stuff like that. I've done nothing like that, so it's just experience based that yeah, of course Frederick has given me this chance. But I started off doing sim racing commentary, then was brave enough to send Frederick an email of like, hey, can I do commentary? I see you haven't got anyone yet. And from there on, yeah, we got talking and now we're here. So yeah, good times.
Indeed. So, Dan, just 19. I'm old enough to be your dad, mate. I mean, that's worrying, considering the age bracket between us. But Dan and I have worked together on, we have to give a shout out to a former guest, Mr. James Parfitt, of course, of JP Broadcasting, who we're both still doing some work for at the moment. But Dan, I really wanted to ask you the first question. How did you get bitten by the motorsport bug, first of all, buddy?
Well, it started all the way back in 2015 with a very young at the time Max Verstappen. I have a cousin who has the surname Verstappen. His dad is called Jos Verstappen. So there we go. It all lines up, doesn't it? Now, no, they are related to Max Verstappen, and yeah, they started watching him as soon as he joined Formula One, of course, before that too. But of course, he was on live TV, the German TV. I still remember those Krombacher ads that you had in between, like every 5 laps of the race. It was horrible. But no, that's how I got bitten by the motorsport bug, and well, ever since then, I just in some way just wanted to get into motorsports, and this is the way I found myself doing it.
So they were basically the catalyst for you starting to watch when Max was probably at that time. That was when he was with Toro Rosso, because I
Yes.
remember the year before he was with Van Amersfoort Racing, and halfway through the season he went from the traditional black and orange Van Amersfoort livery to Red Bull Junior, and then we all know what happened in. Well, for those that do remember FIA Formula 3 Europe that season, Max did not win the title. It was Esteban Ocon, fresh
Yes.
from his, what was it, Etsy Bestie or something like that,
Yeah.
as he called
Yeah.
himself
Something like that.
in Monte Carlo this past weekend at the Monaco Grand Prix, picking up a podium for Alpine. So, yeah, that was the year before he got his super license and became the youngest ever Formula One driver to secure a super license. Then went on to become the youngest ever race winner after a year and a half, ending up trading places with Danny Kvyat for Red Bull, who was playing ping pong with the Ferrari of one Sebastian Vettel. Um, but that's a really good, understanding that, there's a lot of passionate Dutch motorsport fans, yourself being one of them, and now you're in the industry, which is really, really good to see how quick that progression has been. From 7 years, 2015. That's 8 years ago. So you're 11 at the time, and now you're in your late teens, going into your early 20s, now becoming a real life commentator, which is a pretty good, cool thing to see. What was the first ever race you saw trackside, mate?
The first ever race I saw trackside. This might be a bit late on, since I started watching in 2015. but I never really had the chance to go to any track or even any karting event. While we met at Karting Genk, which was for me like 15 minutes away. Just so yeah, just crazy how things goes. No, but it was 2019, I think it was, the Red Bull Ring, where he won, of course, Max Verstappen. So yeah, a pretty important season. That one not as important as the season after, but no, a incredible festival. Just not the race in itself, but you know just as well as me that Austria is kind of the second home for us Dutchies. For some reason, we've claimed that track as spectators.
I
So
think also Spa-Francorchamps is a close second as well, because
yeah,
down the Kemmel Straight, you see the orange T-shirts, everyone singing Supermax, Max, Supermax as always. And especially at Zandvoort these days, he's finally got a home track where I think it was the Dutch supporters that were setting off the orange flares too often that got them banned by the FIA
yes,
as a
yes,
direct
yes.
correlation. Um, but how did you get into commentary? And who helped you get involved? Of course, you're one of a multitude of drivers, people that I've actually guested on the show. One of which being Actual Vision, Luke Crane. He made the transition from sim racing, became the official voice of DTM Trophy for a couple of years, whilst Moritz Lerner was competing in that championship. How did you get involved, and who helped you sort of take that initial step into where you've become now?
It all started, I think, back in 2020, during the COVID period when no one was allowed to go outside. Um, you try and find something that you like, because during that time it was very easy to kind of go down a path which people don't really like and be depressed. I was very close to it,
Yeah,
even though you can't really see it. I'm a very happy person, but I found a certain guy called Marnix Heister. He had a league called Platinum Racing League, which, just as with Next Gen, so it's kind of the same story. I approached Marnix and I said, "Hey, I see you have some series, some championships running, which don't have a commentator yet." So I was like, "Can I do commentary?" And he was like, "Yeah, give it a shot. We lose nothing by doing it, and if you're good at it, we actually gain a pretty valuable thing to our league." So he let me have a go with it. Of course, first of all, the first stream I was really shy, didn't really know what to say. My English was way worse than it is now. Yeah, but you gave it a shot, and Marnix immediately saw that there was something in me that could make me to a great commentator. So he said, "Okay, we'll take you on board, and we'll set up even more leagues." So for him too, was kind of a motivation of we want to do more, and because we now have you, we can attract more people, and so it was a win-win situation for us both, and that really got me into it. And then I think after about 1.5 years of doing it with Platinum Racing League, um, I I stumbled upon James Parfit, who was still very early on in what he did with James Parfit Broadcasting. I think I joined when he had about 80 subscribers on YouTube, about 4 or 5 leagues a
yeah.
week that he did, and from there on, it just snowballed.
And here he is now, folks. Soon to go to, I think it's Gellison for the official test.
Gellerossen is how you
Gellison.
pronounce it, but
Yeah.
even I, living in Sweden, even I pronounce it wrong still. So
Well, we're now going to get on to social media funny moments. And for this one, I've had to go to Instagram because there
okay.
is a picture I am now going to show to you folks and to Dan. Remember this one? Tell me what on earth was going through your mind when that happened. I mean, it
Well,
looks like the scarecrow hair has replaced the curls there, mate. I mean, what on earth were you thinking?
well, of course, during the COVID period, you had to kind of entertain yourself. Every barber was closed. So we kind of made our own, because I have a perm in my hair, it's not everything that you see are my own curls. So I like every half a year I go to a barber and let them stuff up my hair, do whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
But you couldn't go to the barber at that time. So we thought it was pretty funny. At least my cousin thought that to put, these clippers in my hair. And yeah, from there on, just got worse and worse. I could tell you one thing: it was horrible to get them out because they were stuck in my hair so bad. Because you have curls, they for some reason they find a way in there that you just can't take them out without pulling half of your hair out. So yeah, it was a horrible idea afterwards, but at the time, my cousin was having fun.
At your expense, of course. Yeah, that's the thing with clothes pegs. They're not exactly forgiving, especially if you're Woody and Klein and you decide to attach ropes to clothes pegs and put them on your face. Why on earth some people are masochistic these days just for social media likes and clickbait? I don't know, but that's the funny moment of social media out of the way. Of course, Max Verstappen, I would imagine, is one of your favorite drivers. If you can't already notice on Dan's immediate right-hand side, look at the number alongside him. But I mean, is there anyone else apart from Max that really, really sort of like captivates you as a fan of motorsport?
Yes, I would say I'm close in contact with Mirko Bortolotti, who drives in the DTM last year and still is now. Had a pretty good shot at the DTM title last year, but some bad luck in the last couple of rounds
Yeah.
denied him that title. Also, Lando Norris and someone like Daniel Ricciardo in Formula One. They're just people, they are performing at the highest level, but you can still see that they're having fun in what they're doing, which I think was something that 20, 25 years ago, especially 25 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't quite the case, with all the media stuff. Everyone was kind of controlled in the media, and you kind of see also that those drivers, especially Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, I think Max Verstappen has his own team in DTM now with Emil Frey Racing, Verstappen.com, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
So
there's a young Dutch driver that I think is racing with them this year.
yeah,
Can't remember his name,
Bas
but
van Meulen, I think it is. And I think that is son of one of Max Verstappen, his managers, Raymond Vermeulen, who's very close in contact. Of course, he does all the contract stuff together with Jos Verstappen, as far as I know. So I think it's his son who's driving for that team.
yeah,
Pretty talented
Thierry,
young
yeah,
man.
Thierry Vermeulen, because
Yeah,
Raymond is the manager of Max and Jos.
yeah, yeah.
So, which I think is pretty cool, and they're running in the Ferraris as well, which is even more awesome.
Yeah.
Even though
That new
that,
Ferrari, it's
oh,
it won the Nürburgring, but like BOP was a big thing. Also, of course, it is a new car. It's one of the first times it's been raced competitively in a race like that. And then again, try and BOP a car at the Nürburgring. It's almost impossible.
well, I mean, the car made its actual GT3 debut in GTD at the Rolex 24 this year, which a lot of people tend not to remember through Momo Motorsport, and didn't really have the greatest of luck. But when you look at it, it was Fricadelli Racing, folks. If those that have been living under a rock for the past few months, where have you been hiding? Have you gotten through your hibernation cycle very, very nicely and woken up like a growling bear in the woods? Yeah, so it's Sabina Schmidt's old team, her partner who runs the Fricadelli Racing team, and it was great to see like finally that team having a win and dedicating it to Sabine, because her partner brought out the old good luck charm, the old cap out of the museum, and it brought them luck and it took them to the win. I mean, they even replaced the rear end of that car, folks.
Yeah.
2 minutes, 2 minutes to effect the repairs. They went out and won the damn thing. But yeah, I think, well, for a lot of people that don't already know, it's quite funny how there are two drivers on the Formula One grid that actually are dual national, because
Yes.
Max is not just Dutch, he's Belgian as well. And so is Lando Norris, Belgian mother. And a lot of
Yes.
people seem to skate over this sort of like dual nationality, which I'm proud, I mean, Dan, I'm proud to have both English and German roots as
Yeah.
well. So why hide it? Embrace it. That's all I can say. But the thing is, It doesn't really matter whether it's Austria because of Red Bull, whether it's Belgium because of where his mum Victoria, where she's originally from, and then of course, anyone that knows Max Verstappen's history, which circuit has he won his FIA World Karting title at, and also, and this is something a lot of people forget, is that first time I found out of who has competed in one of the championships I commentate on, the BNL karting series. Max Verstappen was the first ever two-time champion in Minimax in 2008 and 2009. That's how much history Max has with karting Genk. So coming on to
champions.
Yeah, home of champions, and it's a great circuit. I've commentated over 1,200 races there now, over 6 years. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous now. Right. Have you ever been starstruck with a racing driver? Is my next question, Dan.
Not really. Of course, you kind of have to remember, and this sounds really weird coming from me, but they're just people like us.
Mm-hmm.
They've just been put in a position, of course, because Formula One is so popular, that a lot of people, are looking up to them, and of course they have to kind of, keep that in mind too with whatever they do. Which I personally, it must be so frustrating to, with whatever you do, have to think about, I people are looking at me and people are gonna, replicate what I'm doing. So you kind of have to, you're kind of a father figure to everyone all of a sudden. And you have to keep that in mind all the time. But no, not really. They're just people like us, except if I would beat Max Verstappen, since we're family with him. Of course, yeah, that would be super cool. I haven't met him yet, but yeah, maybe sometime.
Cool. Next question. Commentary idols.
John Hindhaugh.
That's a good one to start off with.
Simple as that.
No, sim racing?
Sim racing, Alex Goldschmidt.
Hey! Finally, we've had it for a first time. First time on Commentator's Corner, I've been mentioned as a commentary idol. That's, of course. Well, I mean, the thing is, the first time, when was the first time we actually worked together? The first time, I think it was on the Porsche Cup.
Yeah, Porsche Cup.
Porsche Cup Challenge Europe, which is coming to its season finale this coming Sunday night at Long Beach.
Who's going to win it? Who's going to win it?
Hammer. I think Hammer's going to win it.
Okay. I'm going to go with Aiden. I've got to go with Aiden.
Well, considering the fact that they both had really, really bad races, Philip went and won the sprint, no problems at all. Bossed it. And then Aiden had a drama. He got collected through an incident not of his fault. What happened in race 2? Phil Straffarelli went straight on, clattered into a couple of cars, and it inadvertently took out Philip Hammer. I'm hoping Vince Peters actually shows, because he's been like the real sort of dark horse. I mean, you and I both know that, but yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So I've got to try and get this episode out before Sunday.
Yes, you do.
On both audio and visual. So for those wondering, this Commentator's Corner VOD or podcast is available not just on my YouTube channel, but also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Absolutely free to listen at any point. Favorite moments in commentary. Name your top 3 moments, whether it can be something that you've commentated on or something that you've listened to.
Well, for me, as a Dutch person, number 1 is a clear number 1. Nothing can compete with it. Olaf Mol, Barcelona 2016. Yo hey, yo ho. Yo fucking hell, what bizarre. That's the one. Max Verstappen, when he won his first Grand Prix, it's just, it's fresh in my memory. Still get goosebumps when I think about it. It's that day, yeah, a young boy cried. A young boy, 12-year-old, he cried at that time. Even though I was only a year into watching racing, it meant so much to me. I was so invested, still am. Like, I watch every Formula One race, every endurance race, like the Nürburgring 24 hours, watched it all the way, didn't get 1 minute of sleep. I watched all the 24 hours,
How many Red
which not a
Bulls
lot of
did you
people
drink
do.
during that?
Zero.
Ah,
Coffee. That's the magic thing. That's the magic thing. That's my clear number one. Then my number two would be the first season of PEC, the Platinum Endurance Championship,
yeah.
during the Le Mans 10 hours. I did that on my own. So I did about 12 hours of commentary and broadcasting. So doing cameras, broadcasting completely on my own. But I think we had at some point a record of about 200 people watching, which at the time for the Platinum Racing League YouTube channel was completely crazy. Because what do we have at the time? 150 subscribers. So at the time, that was a huge audience for me. And that was kind of the moment that I knew, like, okay, this is what I want to do. You know, this is what I want to do it for. See the joy and the pleasure that people get from hearing your voice and looking at the action. That was the time when I kind of knew, okay, this is what I want to go for. You know, so that's when I kicked it up a gear
Yeah.
and invested everything I had in what I'm doing now. And then the third, a difficult one because I think there are a lot of moments that kind of can go in that position. But I have to go with, well, 2020 one, where championship one, Max Verstappen, and the Dutch commentary, like still goosebumps. Also because of the moment, because of how much pressure was on it and the chaos that was there. Yeah, for me, Dutch commentary, those are the moments that are very iconic. If I would have to go with something English, I'm gonna have to go with Is That Glock? Simple as that.
Oh, the famous 2008
Is that
Formula
Glock?
One season finale at Interlagos. Is that Glock? Yes, it is. Can I throw something in that we've worked on?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. P Cup Challenge Europe, Watkins Glen, Igor Koz versus Vince Paters. You remember that one in race 2?
Yes. Oh, that was golden.
That I still remember, like, they were going through the roller coaster and we were both like thinking Vince is going to get this, and Igor just defended like crazy.
Yeah.
And like we were like thinking, no, there's no way he's going to catch up to him. And like he's right on his backside with 2 laps to go. Like he was literally making mincemeat of that gap. And then Igor Kos just went, no, you're not getting past. Thou shalt not pass. And bang, 70. I think it was like less than a tenth separated them at the line.
Then I'll throw one in there too. I think the round after we had the same at VIR, Virginia International Raceway.
Oh yeah,
round
it was
5,
VIR.
wasn't it?
It was at VIR. It was VIR where Igor Kos actually won, wasn't it? I think. I can't remember. So many different moments.
Yeah.
So many different moments. But that's why I always say top 3.
Yeah.
This is the quick. I think this is the quickest commentators corner episode ever, which is really really funny. But final question, Mr. Pepels.
Oh, here we go.
If you had a choice of a car and circuit with no budget, it can be road car, it can be race car. If you had no budget, what car would you choose? What circuit would you go on? And tell me why. Now, this is where it gets interesting, folks, because my guest responds first, and then I do a counter. So, Dan, the floor is yours.
Well, for me, it would be the Audi R18 that raced back in 2016 in the World Endurance Championship, I think it was. Or was it 2018? Excuse me, 2018 it was. I think one Le Mans, and that would the track I would be going to. It's a track, and still my lifelong dream. Hope I can ever achieve it, to do commentary at Le Mans in the 24 hours. But that's my lifelong dream. It's what got me into endurance racing. That car means so much to me because it showed me that Formula One wasn't the only thing to be interested in. It was everything, endurance, GT racing. So that car is an iconic car for me. And I mean, you almost can't go quicker. Yes, you had the Porsche 917, I think, 917. That went quick around the Nürburgring. Would have loved to do that, but I think the Audi R18 at Le Mans still gets the notch.
Okay. You know what? This is the first time on Commentator's Corner where the presenter and the guest have agreed. Audi
Hey!
R18, but I'm going to go one further on the Audi R18. I'm going to go on the Audi R18 e-tron Quattro. So when LMP1 went hybrid for the very, very first time, and if anyone might remember, what was it? The 24-hour series that Audi did, Truth in 24.
Yeah.
And it was the second one where you had the Peugeot 908 HDIs battling away with the three cars. That was the year when Mike Rockenfeller and Alan McNish had their two respective big crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Rockenfeller's at 320 kph down the Mulsanne in the middle of the night. Alan McNish's within the first 3 hours, whilst overtaking, I think it was, I don't remember
Porsche.
which driver it was, but it was one of the other Audis,
Okay.
and trying to now remember which year that was, but it was the year when Marcel Fessler, Benoit Trullier, and Andre Lotterer went full pelt for 24 hours, and Benoit Trullier going out of the Porsche curves into Corvette around the outside of a GT3 backmarker to get the race lead with tyres that had been on 5 stints. And they went and won the race, whereas Peugeot, all their top tier cars were dropping like flies. Audi were pushing that car so hard, and it was the first ever time a female lead engineer of a crew won Le Mans, Lena Gade.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty, so both of us, Le Mans, Audi R18, maybe slightly different generations. But you know what? That's the beauty of doing this final question, because it shows that we all love motorsport. We all have different opinions, but yeah, we all love it for the hell of it, don't we, Dan?
Yeah, we do. Now I have a question for you.
Oh,
We hear a lot about strategists, Ferrari. Oh, they're so terrible. But a lot of people don't know how much work goes into it. Now, of course, if you look at Ferrari, the amount of mistakes they've made, let's be honest, is a bit too much. Now, might be controversial, but what's your opinion on that team at the moment? Because I think everyone's talking about it. Maybe good to address it here too. So let us know what you think of it. But what do you think about the situation in that team at the moment with Frederick Vasseur coming in?
well, Fred Vasseur's got a lot of obstacles to overcome. And my thing is that strategists are meant to work with drivers. Okay, yes, they've got so much more information, but a driver can anticipate possibilities. So the thing is, the strategists in Ferrari, I think they need a kick up the backside. And like I say, coming in this season in 2023 has been a difficult one for Fred Vasseur. He's been at Alfa Romeo and Hinwil for so many different years, so many years. He's been a staple of that team and has helped propel it forward. But I think that now that Fred Vasseur for 2024 needs to sort of like really say to these guys that you've dropped the ball so many times. And there will come changes. I mean, Lawrence Mekies is going to be leaving. He's going to AlphaTauri. He's head of strategy. So whether he's decided, you know what, I'm going to get out before I get pushed.
Yeah.
And Lawrence Mekies has been there for so many years himself. But the current strategy side of things, I think needs to change, because Ferrari have been close to titles before and they've dropped the ball on strategy. When they had like Rob Smedley, Ross Brawn, all the big names there, things were going a lot better than they are now for Ferrari. You know, you've got two great drivers in there, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. They are not being given them, I think, not being given the maximum opportunity to go for these results because Ferrari dropped the ball. And when they drop the ball, the Italian media gets a hold of it, and straight away there are columns, there are sport pages on the back of newspapers.
They're ruthless.
They're all saying it's like a lynch mob that happens whenever Ferrari does something wrong. It's like, if anyone might remember when Charles Leclerc put it on pole for the Monaco Grand Prix, they changed the gearbox on the car. The gearbox was refusing to start whilst he was on pole, and he ended up being pulled into the pits and retiring. But that was through a fault of his own. Then you look at strategy calls like wrong tyres, slow pit stops, and not sort of really thinking outside the box. Whereas you've got like Red Bull who are able to pull the magician's wand out and go Wingardium Levioso and bang, it works. So I think Ferrari, I think this is going to be a learning year for Fred Vasseur. And when you look at like John Elkin, who's replaced Diamante Zemolo and Sergio Marchionne. I mean, Marchionne passed away in 2016. And, you know, it's about the fact that Ferrari needs to perform. They have not won a world championship title since Kimi Raikkonen in 2007. If anyone might remember the battle between Kimi Raikkonen and then McLaren teammates, Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, anyone might remember Pit Stop Gate and then Spygate in the same season, no less. Just goes to show how quickly things can change. And yeah, there's pressure to perform in Formula One. So I think Fred Vasseur might be putting a few people out to pasture come the end of this year.
Yeah. I just hope that because he's gotten the time where he was before, and I hope they give him the time to kind of resolve the issues that are there, because this is not something that he's going to be able to resolve in 1 or 2 seasons. This is going to be long term, because internally in that team, structurally, something is going wrong. And where it has gone wrong, couldn't tell you, but somewhere it has, and they need to just make sure that, you know, they get that on the right track again.
Yeah, and that really does it for this episode of Commentator's Corner. Mr. Daan Pepels, you've been an awesome guest. And you know what? He's the first person in 17 episodes to actually ask me a question, and it's relating to motorsport. So there you go. First time for everything here. Dan, I'm going to make sure that everyone knows where they can find you and stalk you on social media, so don't worry about that one. Keep your eyes on this boy. He's going places, and tune in to Next Gen Cup for 2023. It's going to be absolutely epic. Any final words before we close things off here, Dan?
Yeah, if you're wondering where you can find us for the first time with Next Gen Cup, it'll be the 6th of June, where we'll have our first official test. So every driver will be there, and we'll be creating content live from Yellow Rossa, the track. So that's where you can find us. I think you can visit freely. So you can visit free of charge, nothing charged. So you can just visit us at the track if you are in Sweden. Else it's going to be a pretty expensive trip to make. Still, you can do it, but just remember, it is going to be a bit expensive for 3 days of testing from the 6th till the 8th of June. And then we have the first round, of course, the 7th of July. So yeah, looking forward to that. And can't wait to get it started.
Well, that's it for Commentator's Corner for episode number 17. A big thank you to Dan for being a guest on this one. Tune in next time as we'll have another interesting guest here on the show itself. So for myself, Alex Goldschmidt, your Commentator's Corner's host, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. See you on the next one.